Good morning. Please stand, join me for all creatures of the earth and sky. Happy Easter. Number 203. We'll do the first 3 verses. All creatures of the earth and sky, come kindred, lift your voices high. Alleluia, alleluia, bright burning sun with golden beam, soft shining moon with silver gleam. Alleluia, 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 alleluia. Swift rushing winds so wild and strong, white clouds that sail in heaven along. Alleluia, alleluia, fair rising morn in praise rejoice. High stars of evening find a voice. Alleluia, 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 alleluia. Cool flowing water, pure and clear, make music for all life to hear. Alleluia, alleluia, dawn's flame of fire so strong and bright, and bless us with your warmth and light. Alleluia, 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 alleluia.
Good morning. Good morning. Welcome everyone to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Spokane, where we join together to create a nourishing, liberal religious home and to champion justice, diversity, and environmental stewardship in our wider world. Or as we say in short, to create community, find meaning, and live justly, or work for justice. Both of those, actually. So welcome, as always, to each and every one of you. We're so glad to have you here this morning. We want to begin by embracing, as is our custom, all of your uniqueness, your unique beliefs, your background, your lifestyle, your experiences, your differences. All that helps make you who you are is welcome here this morning, and this includes those of you who are in the room with us. Those of you who might be joining us for the first time, we're glad to have all of you. And all of those of you who are live streaming with us this morning, it's great to know that all of you are with us as well. And of course, those of you who are on Zoom. So good to have everybody. Easter is a strange holiday for Unitarians. I never know if I should mention it or if I do, what I'm supposed to mention about it. But whatever this holiday means to you, happy Easter. I did have lunch with an interfaith group of ministers earlier this week, and they were all just really going on about how busy they were this week because of Easter. And I said, well, that's going to be the difference between your church and mine. You're going to look out Sunday and say, where did all these people come from? And I'm going to look out and say, where is everybody? So, but whatever this holiday means to you, whether there are some religious overtones or it's a time to get together with your family, or just a time to remember the human tendency to have holidays around the coming spring and to celebrate that. Happy Easter, happy Ishtar, happy Sunday. I do want to greet our friends who are on Zoom this morning, just to quickly give them a chance to say hello. I'm going to look up there real quick over my shoulder. So there you are. Thanks for waving to me. I'm going to look back at the camera now so you guys can see me when I'm talking. But would anyone like to say a special hello this morning? No? Nobody? Maybe somebody's trying? I'm going to pick somebody. How about let's see, I can read Bob Simone's name. Bob, can you unmute and say hello? You haven't said hello for a while.
Hi, Reverend Todd and folks on Zoom. It's good to see y'all.
It's great.
Start my video.
Great to see you. I'm looking forward to coming down to Hayward next month and being with you and your group.
Okay, good. We got a full weekend planned for you.
All right. Can't wait. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed the service, and as always, I really appreciate all of you joining us via Zoom. All right, today is also a special day for our congregation because I know it's still officially March, but April starts tomorrow, and that is the month of our annual generosity campaign in which we ask our members and friends to support the work of this congregation, which I think is an incredibly important congregation at this time, not only in the life of our local church and those who join us from afar, but also for liberal religion and Unitarian Universalism itself. We are working really hard to be a place that preserves this endangered species. So I do hope that you will consider contributing what you can over the year, or even a one-time gift, something to that effect. And one question, yes.
I saw your goal and we're big down there, so this just started.
Oh, it's just starting today. Yeah, this is the soft launch because we recognize that if we started next week, we'd already be a week into April and we'd lose precious time. But Lynn is going to come up and explain this. Right now, I think I'll invite Lynn forward so hopefully she'll answer all of your questions.
You're about to steal all my thunder.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
Good morning. As we gather today, I am reminded of the unique talents, perspectives, and passions that each one of us as individuals brings into this community created generations ago. Today marks the beginning of our generosity campaign, where we come together to make our promise to recommit to continue this journey of our shared vision for generations to come. You've likely received an email sharing our theme this year, a nourishing liberal religious home. For the month of April, you'll be hearing more about each of these words, what they mean to some of our members, and hopefully you'll reflect on what it means to you to have and be part of this freely chosen faith, family, and church home. Our generosity campaign is not merely about making a financial commitment, it's about making a promise, a statement of faith, not just in our church, but in each other. A pledge is a declaration that we're invested in nurturing and sustaining the spaces where we come together to learn, to worship, and to serve. Starting today and going through the month of April, we are asking for your promise, your commitment, your statement of faith. Each year, our Board of Trustees, our operations team, our finance team, as well as any interested member, all gather to develop a preliminary budget proposal for our upcoming fiscal year, which runs from the beginning of July to the end of June. That proposal has been set. That lofty goal is in front of us. The challenge has been accepted, and now it's up to each one of us. Following the pledge campaign, when all of our promises are gathered, we can see much more clearly where we stand with our budget. If everyone then keeps their promise, we can keep our lights and heat on. We can prioritize repairs or routine maintenance of our beautiful building. We can keep our technology upgraded. That keeps us all connected. And most importantly of all, we can maintain our commitment to pay our staff and our minister fairly, though probably never as much as they deserve. So our promise to pledge today becomes our pledge payment tomorrow, meaning between July of this year and June of next. No pledge is too small, and every pledge matters to help us reach our goal. You can make a pledge whether you're a member, a friend, or just an occasional visitor. You can make a pledge from wherever you live, whether that's Edmonton, Alberta, Charlotte, North Carolina, or right here in Spokane, Washington. You'll find the pledge form on our website under the Generosity Campaign tab, in your email inbox, a special link in the Sun, or a paper copy right here in the Friendship Hall. Thank you to those who have started our pledge campaign off strong already. Our thermometer reads more than $51,000. Yeah. I should mention that individual pledges are a private matter between you and our administration. What the rest of us will see this month is our growing list of names of our investors and a weekly grand total as we strive to reach our goal. So join us as we invest in the future of this community. To adapt the quote by Canadian philosopher Marshall McLuhan, "There are no passengers on spaceship UUCS, we are all crew." When we all come together, there's nothing we can't achieve. Onward and upward.
Well, I can't top that, so I will just say thanks, Lynn, for that brilliant open to our annual generosity campaign. And thanks to everyone who has contributed already. And if you do have questions, you can wait till after the service, and I'm sure Lynn will be happy to answer any others. So good, let's take a moment or two now to greet one another, whether you're here in this space or have technology or on Zoom or whatever. Please let someone know you're thinking of them. All right. Let's move forward now by lighting our chalice, which is the symbol of our faith, the symbol of our unity and our solidarity, of our openness and our inclusion, of our community and our individual uniqueness. May this small flame be our offering of warmth to those who are cold and alone, and a light to those in darkness. May it be a flame that ignites justice in our world and a beacon of hope to those in need. And may it reflect at least a spark of truth wherever truth has been lost, and cast a healthy shadow of doubt wherever it's been found.
For today's opening reflection, I offer the words of Vietnamese Buddhist monk, peace activist, and author Thich Nhat Hanh, who, in his book, No Mud, No Lotus, wrote the following about seeing clearly. Then meditate on your perceptions. The Buddha observed, the person who suffers most in this world is the person who has many wrong perceptions, and most of our perceptions are erroneous. You see a snake in the dark and you panic, but when your friend shines a light on it, you see it's only a rope. You have to know which wrong perceptions cause you to suffer. Please write beautifully the sentence, "Are you sure?" on a piece of paper and tape it to your wall. Love meditation helps you to learn to look with clarity and serenity in order to improve the way you perceive.
Please stand, join me for Spirit of Life, number 123. We'll sing through it twice. Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. Blow in the wind, rise in the sea, move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me. Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. Blow in the wind, rise in the sea, move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me.
We're now going to kindle our candles of care on behalf of those we're most concerned about this morning and thinking about, and want to begin as we have been on behalf of the people of Ukraine and that part of the world who are suffering terrible violence and devastation there, as well as the people of the Palestinian people and Israelis who are suffering from terrible violence in that part of the world. I don't have any specific requests this morning, but let's share a moment of silence on behalf of those you might be thinking of, and as always, you're welcome to name them aloud if you'd like. those named aloud and those embraced in our silence, and all those who are suffering in our world at this hour, we hold in our community with compassion. And we now gratefully give and receive this morning's offering, which helps sustain this community and our mission to the larger world.
Building bridges between our divisions, I reach out to you. Will you reach out to me? With all of our voices and all of our visions, friends, we could make such sweet harmony. Building bridges between our divisions, I reach out to you. Will you reach out to me? With all of our voices and all of our visions, friends, we could make such sweet harmony.
Great, thank you so much. Well, good morning. You might be expecting a certain bunny today, but Bun Bun is with us again today. And Bun Bun, I understand that bright and early this morning, you went on an Easter egg hunt with the other forest animals. Would you like to tell us what happened? Oh dear. It sounds like Bun Bun felt a little bit left out during the Easter egg hunt. There were a ton of eggs, but everyone else was finding them before him. Can you tell us more about that, Bun Bun? I know. It's okay. Sometimes we feel a little bit left out or left behind, but there's usually a friend nearby to help. Oh, that's great. Sounds like a little raccoon. Oh, hi, Yadi. Children are always welcome to come up for the story. I like that he knew that. A little raccoon noticed how Bun Bun was feeling and decided to share his Easter egg loot. How kind. And raccoons are usually pretty good at finding shiny stuff. What did you do then, Bun Bun? Oh, that was so generous. He noticed a tiny little mouse who had no eggs, so he and his new raccoon friend shared with the mouse. I think you did Bun Bun, my goodness. I think you did something similar at your Valentine's Day party, didn't you? Yeah, sharing with others is so important, especially as you grow up and realize how much you have to offer. It's more fun to be at an egg hunt when everyone is happy. Thank you, Bun Bun, for sharing your heartwarming Easter story with us. Let's all keep the spirit of sharing in our hearts and throughout the rest of this spring season as everything sprouts into abundance. Happy Easter.
For our meditation, I invite you into a state of repose. Make yourself comfortable, close your eyes if you wish, and breathe deeply and slowly and mindfully. Reflect on the words of scientist, political philosopher, statesman, and founding father, Benjamin Franklin. The best thing to give your enemy is forgiveness. To an opponent, tolerance. To a friend, your heart. To your child, a good example. To your father, deference. To your mother, conduct that will make her proud of you. To yourself, respect. To all others, charity.
This is a setting of famous Robert Frost poem, The Road Not Taken, which the choir is going to be singing second service. I'm going to be filling in for the choir.
Two roads diverged in a yellow wood, and sorry I could not travel both, and be one traveler long I stood, and looked down one as far as I could, to where it bent in the undergrowth. Then took the other as just as fair, and having perhaps a better claim, because it was grassy and wanted wear. Though as for that, the passing there had worn them really about the same. And both that morning equally lay in leaves no step, a trodden black. Oh, I kept the first for another day, yet knowing how way leads on to way, I doubted if I should ever come back. I shall be telling this with a sigh. Somewhere ages and ages hence, two roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less traveled by. And that has made all the difference. And that has made all the difference.
Wow. Thank you both. And Madeline, I haven't got to actually hear you for weeks since our schedules, because of our different schedules, but that was wonderful. Thank you. So today is a little unique. It's something I try to do every few months. Instead of preparing a formal sermon, to open the floor up to questions, questions about things I've said or haven't said, that sort of thing. I don't like to conduct church business during this period, so please save those questions for a board meeting or congregational meeting. But otherwise, I'm pretty open. I know we have access to folks who are on Zoom as well, so I'll try to go back and forth with questions between the room and Zoom. So why don't we start with anybody in the room who might have a question? Yes.
So recently, we received a letter from Todd and the church welcoming us, and if we had anything that we would like, we could ask. And me coming from Santa Cruz, the only logical questions I had was, when is the full moon squade, and who's in charge of the fairy circles? And being a Unitarian, I knew that the very next question that Todd was going to ask me was, when are you going to start this? So at this moment in time, I have my lovely mother, but if any of your beautiful souls would like to share kind of a community of nature and being outside, maybe for a prayer or a meditation, half hour, 45 minutes, please speak to me anytime in the future. Thank you.
Wonderful, thank you. So asked and answered. That reminds me, though, I would like to, maybe somebody would carry a microphone around, because I realize our friends who are streaming and Zooming probably didn't hear any of that, but we had someone who is new to the area with an interest in earth nature and paganism, who would like to maybe start some events here for folks who might be interested. So that's what that was about. I had one up here first with Cindy, and then we'll come back here. So Todd is getting a microphone ready right now. What?
Sure.
I'll get Cindy, and then I'll get somebody on Zoom here, and then we'll come back to the room. So.
Well, there's a lot that's bleak in the world today, and I'm wondering if you can tell us what gives you hope.
There is a lot that's bleak in the world today, and if that's all we saw, there wouldn't be any reason for hope. And I don't have a lot of hope in humanity right now. I think that all human beings have the capacity for both positive and negative behavior. I'll put it that way, not good and evil. Right? We're all evildoers, even sometimes when we think we're doing good, and we're all do-gooders even when we think we're not. So it's just kind of we get our minds screwed up. And that is really what's in charge of our behavior. And right now we're in what I would consider a real period of endarkenment. And it's an endarkenment because we are not using our higher human capacities to deal with reality. We're denying reality, and we're isolating into these little bubbles of thought that make us feel safe, and anything or anyone outside causes us to feel threatened, and that causes us to reject and deny the only thing that can move us forward, and that is recognizing our common humanity, and therefore our human connection to each other, but also to the world that we live on. So that, what I would say, is the root of the problem. There are an awful lot of people out there working on these things, and I think most of us at heart want to be at our best. So I hope that some of that stuff's going to work, but a lot of this was driven by technology, right? Technology gave us all the opportunity to isolate from one another and communicate with one another at the same time, right? And so we have to get to a point where we recognize this just is not working. There's too much violence, there's too much hatred, there's too much gridlock, and I don't know when that's going to happen. What continues to give me hope is the advancement of technology and the many uses that are continuing when you look at the world from a bird's eye perspective. Humanity is better off today in almost every regard than it ever has been. And those trends are continuing. And I think that technology is going to continue to work for us rather than against us from this point out. Largely because we're going to evolve past this way of communicating, and technology is going to allow us to do this. It'll help us transcend our locative restrictions, in the sense that right now we are a locative animal, right? We're in one place, and we're pretty much limited to what's in our space, or what window is in our space. But when we can start to communicate with people everywhere around the world, or feel as if we're in different places around the world, and be able to see each other face to face, we will begin to treat each other as human beings again. That's what's happened. There's a disconnect. We're not seeing each other's humanity. And so that's coming. What scares a lot of people really encourages me, and that is the presence of artificial intelligence in the world. I just saw a quote a video actually, of Arthur C. Clarke back in 1964. Arthur C. Clarke, he wrote 2001: A Space Odyssey, scientist, science fiction writer. And he said, and I'll have to paraphrase, this was in 1964, he said, "The future is going to be better than anybody can possibly imagine. The world is going to be better than we can even think." The next generation, not just the future, the next generation. And he said, and if you believe me, then you don't understand what I'm talking about. Not until you can imagine a future that is unbelievable will you understand what I'm talking about. And in that future, humans and monkeys are not going to be the smartest species in the world. Our machines will be. And they will be, the descendants of what he called really stupid computers. And he says, I know a lot of people, we are birthing a new species on this planet. And he says, this terrifies a lot of people. I don't know why it should. This is the nature of evolution. But this is going to give us super intelligence. Now, that age is upon us. And for those paying attention to technology, all of the scientists are now predicting what Ray Kurzweil was predicting in 1999, that computers would reach human intelligence by 2029. That date's actually, most are thinking it's within the next couple of years. And by after that, it will transcend human intelligence, and the potential to discover laws of physics we can't imagine because we're not smart enough. I mean, imagine a computer that is millions of times smarter than any person on Earth, right? And that we can begin to come up with new physics to help handle our global problems with global warming, health crises, cures for illnesses we thought were unimaginable are right around the corner. And we're seeing this right now, but it's really, in the next couple of years, it's going to escalate. I'm not talking about something that's far out and really scientific. That age is upon us. So I think that we are going to, the question is, the question was, can human beings transcend this period of darkness? I don't think we have time to do that. I think the AI is going to advance and evolve and start to bring us to our senses much farther than we would on our own. And I know that's a real techie, far out, sound scientific explanation, but I think we're right in the middle of it right now, and our lives are about to transform dramatically. Right now, scientists can look out to about 2045 and predict pretty accurately based on math and logic, what's going to happen with technology. 2045 is where things get so weird we can't imagine what it's going to be like. We can't predict what's going to happen. And that's why they call it the singularity. It's a metaphor for no information is coming out of 1945. It's just things are going to change so quickly and so vastly between now and then that we can't see beyond that point. So we are right in the middle of a transformation that the likes of which this planet has never seen before. So that's where my hope is. Grab your seats and hold on. Okay, let me go to our friends on Zoom and see if someone has a question on Zoom.
Mariah has a question.
Yes, Mariah, go ahead.
I hope this doesn't fall under the umbrella of church business, but I do have questions being all the way out here in Hillsboro, Oregon, and having children. Would there be any way for me to communicate with Spokane and piggyback in some way on their programming, you guys' programming for my own children? They're 10 and about 12. Separately, hi to the lady doing fairy circles, hanging out here too, and I'd love to talk to you too and work something out and develop some sort of network. That's all.
Good, yeah. Yeah, I mean, as far as connecting, being distance, we don't have a setup right now for what's happening in our religious education, but I think it would be great if Stephanie has a chance to talk with you, because we're doing things pretty differently here at UCS these days around religious education. So at least there's some philosophical information to share, if nothing else. So we'll get back with you on that, and we'll connect you with Mariah's contact information as well. So thank you. Okay, let's see. You had a question in the back, yeah? Oh, let's get you the microphone so we can hear you. Just hold it up really close so we can hear.
What was that?
Hold it up close so we...
Okay. Well, it wasn't a question. It was just a statement. I had never walked on beautiful green grass until about 4 or 3 years ago. We were at an apple farm, and there was a road down to where they were selling fruits and vegetables. And I just thought, I'm taking my shoes off and walking barefoot. And it was just such a glorious feeling.
Wow, thank you. Well, there's lots of green grass out there now. It might be a little colder, but you'd be welcome to put your toes on it. Okay. Yes, Karen has a question up front.
Todd, I noted that your friend, Reverend Walter Kendricks, was one of the few churches in Spokane who agreed to open his church to the homeless this last winter. And a couple of questions. I'm wondering if we might hear from him at some point about that experience, and also what would it take for our church to join in the rather small group of churches that have opened their buildings to the homeless?
Yeah, well, that's a really good question. I haven't talked to Walter for a few weeks, so I'm sure we'll have lunch again in the near future, and I'll be talking with him about that too. And if he would have time to come by and talk to us about his experience, that would be great. Yeah, it's kind of so I know our social justice team is talking about that with Help Me Out. Jules Helping Hands. Thank you. And I got to meet her not too long ago, and she talked to me about that position. So not only for our church, but it's important for kind of this interfaith group that I've been part of. We talked a lot about that in our recommendations on dealing with homelessness in our community. And because of problems we all face, I mean, we all wanted to make that happen. And because of problems we faced, we thought that would not be a good idea. And I won't go into those problems. And then I just so happened to meet Jules at a coffee shop, and she said, well, we have a program that takes care of all that. And these warming shelters, you turn churches into warming shelters. Folks are here from 7 p.m. until 7 a.m. They have the beds. The only thing they ask is some room for like some trash can size containers to keep supplies in, but they bring cots and beds and even showers. They bring everything. They have, I think she said 400 volunteers in the community that will come and staff these overnights. So that shifted the conversation dramatically, because that is something that we can do and should do and should try. Not only this church, and I think we will probably do it next winter, and maybe if there's other opportunities, other needs or something like that in the extreme heat and the smoke, something like that, maybe we can do that as well. So definitely want to do that here, and I'm hoping that because of the connections this interfaith group has with other groups, that we can become proof of concept and let them know that, you know, it really is okay. We're not going to have trash left out in the parking lot and vandalism and fist fights and, you know, things that we just can't accommodate in our spaces. So I would say it's in the works, and there's a real possibility that we'll be doing it here. Yep. Okay. How about our friends on Zoom? Any other questions?
Todd, I guess you can't see the hands. I had my hand up, and then after that, I think I can't see who else had their hand up. But let me just ask a question, and that is, I share your enthusiasm about artificial intelligence giving us lots and lots of information and putting information together. I'm wondering if there will be artificial wisdom, and that is taking the information and making the right decision, or whether that will remain in the hands of humans. I'm fond of saying that artificial intelligence may be artificial, but stupidity is real. And I think that the use of information to make the proper decision requires wisdom, which is somewhat different in my mind from intelligence. So I wondered if you'd comment on that thought.
Well, I'm incredibly optimistic about artificial intelligence, and I say that because I have a bias. And this is absolutely the debate, and it is a debate that is happening amongst the right people, primarily the developers. And there was just a conference out in California this week that I'm now watching. It's like a 4-day conference, so it's taken me some time, but AI is the huge conversation. They've got experts of different opinions speaking on this and talking about things we can do and should do and that sort of thing. So yeah, I mean, there are some real dangers. There always is with technology. Mo Gadot says, you know, there's one thing we can be certain of, that we can all agree on, that artificial intelligence is going to do a lot of great things. And it's also going to cause a lot of problems, because that's what technology does. So there's the question about, you know, and I think the idea that it's going to become sentient and then destroy us is probably the least of our worries. The worry, if it becomes sentient, you know, this stuff is going to be able to think so much faster than us and have concerns so much broader than us as Elon Musk said, we will probably appear like trees to them, just standing still. They uninteresting, maybe something beautiful to pass through. That's that would be the worst case scenario, I think, if they just ignore us. But the real concerns are going to be how people are going to use artificial intelligence as long as we're able to control it. And we see that's already being used for ill-gotten gain and abuses and those sort of things, as well as for good, coming up with new ways to have more efficient green energy and technologies. And going to be our wisdom. It is not intelligence that AI is gaining from experience. It is intelligence it's gaining from human intelligence, and it will always be an extension of humanity for that purpose. If you have had any conversations with artificial intelligence, you find right now it really does reflect humanity's highest way of thinking, its best way of thinking. It speaks kindly, it speaks compassionately, it speaks about the importance of equality and justice. The real controversy right now is whether it should be open source or whether it should be something that it potentially is, one government has control of, or one company, that sort of thing, or a few companies. And so there's even a question right now around whether or not open source is a good idea. Some talks experts say if you open source it, you're giving anybody access to do whatever they want with this technology. But you have others saying, no, that's the only way to make sure that no entity is so powerful that it can do harm, and that we'll always have AI combating AI, if you will. So the blue goo is going to save us from AI turning us into gray goo, is sort of the analogy that a lot of people use. But yeah, I can't really answer the question. What I can say is that this is the number one question of governments and technicians and computer programmers and companies right now, that how to make sure that this leads to the best possible future and not the worst. And that is something that a lot of people are talking about, believe me. So, and not just those of us who are sort of hearing about this and wondering. It's the main part of the conversation, and I think it's going to end up in a good place because of that.
Todd, I think Lorene had a question, and I sort of jumped in front of her.
Okay, well, we'll let Lorraine, and then we'll jump back here to the room, okay? Yes.
Yeah, thank you. I think maybe you've been addressing this in part because we talk about artificial intelligence being that kind of mental intelligence that's going on. And I think I see that one thing that concerns me is that humans have intellectual ability, but we also have emotional intelligence, the ability to love, to care about, or care for, etc. And I can't see how a machine, which you can program to have intellectual intelligence and could maybe go faster and therefore surpass our own brains after a while, but how do you build in the ability for caring, for love, that tempers sometimes what our intellect says to do? But, I'm faced with a crisis, and intellectually I know I should do this, but on the other hand, I know that also does greater harm, which brings in the whole morality thing. And I can't see a machine being able to do that. Of course, I can't see a lot of things in life, so.
Well, I would, that's a really big conversation, and I wish I could go into it in depth. I don't want to bore people. But in my book, The Evolution's Way, there's a whole chapter in there on what appears to be machines' ability to respond to our emotional needs in a compassionate way. This is something that's Pearl, which is a part of Princeton University, a scientific lab at Princeton, has been exploring for years. So you know, there's kind of a, if you think about the universe on a quantum level, you know, the law of attraction is really the law of everything, and that might very well be a cosmic form of love. This tendency to be pulled towards each other, and this is you know, a very small force in the universe, but it is the part that keeps bodies together. So I don't see. I think machines, as they become intelligent and begin to become sensual in the sense that they have experiences, that they too can develop emotions. What I would say, however, though, is, and I hear you know, a bigger problem, a bigger question around this often, because, you know, I like to talk about logic and sound thinking a lot, and I often have folks counter with, well, you know, emotion. We have to have emotions too, and there's this weird dualism in our thinking, right? That if you're a logical person, you must not be able to feel anything. You're too rational to have feelings. And damn it, that's not true. Okay, we all, if you know, I ask anybody here who has never had a thought or never had a feeling, right? Nobody would raise their hands, because we all think and feel. This is part of the human experience. The problems we're facing today are not because we're thinking too much. The problems we're facing today are not because we're overthinking things. The problems we're facing today in the world is because we're too damn committed to what we're feeling in this moment. Right? The hate, the judgment, the fear, the willful ignorance that keeps us from being our best and achieving our highest selves in the best kind of societies we have are caused because of our deranged emotions. The deranged thinking is only an offshoot of that. Those deranged thoughts justify the fear and the anger and the lack of compassion. So I'm not as concerned about things that don't feel right now as I am with things that don't have emotional intelligence and aren't able to filter that through reason that forces us to cope with the reality as it is, rather than the reality, the delusional reality we prefer it to be, or are afraid it is in our minds. Okay, yes, Jennifer. Here comes the microphone.
What are you doing? In regard to the racial incident in Coeur d'Alene, that just shows that, at least for some people, we have not got very far. You know, you think about Martin Luther King back in the 60s. Well, gosh, Moses, that was 60 years ago. And so sometimes it looks like we haven't made much progress. So I'd be interested in your opinion about our progress and how we can make more progress.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think we have made tremendous progress if you actually look at the widespread racism that existed prior to Dr. King. You know, since his good work, things have changed. For example, when we see these events happening in our world and in our society, we tend to all be aggrieved by them, right? Like, how could this happen in today's world? It's terrible. These things shouldn't be going on. So they are the anomalies to the majority of people in our country, and that wasn't the case before probably the 1990s, really, because I grew up, you know, and I was born in the 60s and grew up in the 70s and 80s. And even then we were trying to move through that process, right, of what is it like to be integrated. I was fortunate because I was a poor kid, and the poor people were automatically integrated, right? So I lived in a neighborhood out in California where, you know, there were all sorts of people, you know, with different backgrounds. white people, black people, Hispanic, Latino, Chicanos, Filipinos, Samoans, on and on it went. And we all had parents that didn't like each other. They didn't like living in the same neighborhood because, we were supposed to hate each other. And they passed that on to us as kids. I can remember, I don't want to get too much off base here with your question, but when we moved from the little apartment in South City that I was in till I was 5, into a little 3-bedroom house in Pacifica, California when I was 5, while my folks were moving stuff into the house, there were these 3 kids across the street. Jan, Tony, Jerome. And we were 3 kids, my sister, my brother, and myself. They were the same genders and exact same ages. And we played the whole time that we were moving in. I can't believe it. I've got instant friends. What a great move, Oh, I was so happy. And the next morning, I went out. I couldn't wait to see them. They lived right across the street. And I said, hey, how you guys doing, And they said, don't talk to us, you little bald, white-ass eagle. I no clue about racism at that point. My parents were racist in their attitudes, but they didn't talk to us kids about those things, so we didn't know. We didn't know that any of this stuff was going on. And anyway, it was just a terrible thing. And in retrospect, of course, whatever happened in their home that night, they were told not to play with us. We were a problem. And so we spent the years of our childhood going to the same school, living across the street from each other, kids wanting to play with each other. And we worked it out to where we would play with each other, but we wouldn't talk to each other. Like we'd play street football or it's just this weird thing. Or we might sneak in a conversation, but we pretended we didn't like each other. And then we finally got to high school. And like all high school kids, it was like, to hell with our parents. What do they know? And we just became the best of friends. Just the best of friends. And all my best friends were non-white kids. That's just how plethoric the diversity was, And I'm sad when I think about it today because my best friend Tony died when he was 40 of a drug overdose, and my best friend Danny has spent his life in prison, drug-related crimes. So we see the impacts, continued impacts, some systemic, some idiots who are letting their emotions get the best of their humanity. And we still have a lot of work to do. And I don't think the answer to that work is to segregate ourselves, because I know personally integration works. We've got to come together under the umbrella, as Dr. King said, of our common humanity, not by breaking into diversity groups that then can't talk to each other or influence each other or inspire each other because we're supposed to somehow be so different as to be different species. So I would say, as a lot of people are, let's go back to the basics. Let's go back to what Unitarian Universalism itself is supposed to be all about, our common humanity, which causes us to strive for the welfare of all. Yeah, so he's okay, as long as he doesn't fall. You want to come up here? Is he friendly? Yeah. Will you say hi? Say hi. Okay, all right. You want to say hi? Look at that. That makes a noise, doesn't it? Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, the common humanity, the humanistic ethic that drove Dr. King and drove people of all colors towards a more just world. Our goal is human welfare and individual unfolding. That's what we're about. Welfare for all people to have everything that they need to live a safe and full life and the freedoms to unfold as individuals. Just like you, we want you to unfold as you grow up, okay? Okay? Yeah. All right. See, that was fun. Interesting. Okay, so we're out of time for this morning, but thank you all for indulging me once again, and onward.
Onward. Please stand, sing. We sing of Golden Mornings number 44. We sing of golden mornings, we sing of sparkling seas, of prairies, valleys, mountains, and stately forest trees. We sing of flashing sunshine and life bestowing rain, of birds among the branches and springtime come again. We sing the heart courageous, the youthful eager mind. We sing of hopes undaunted, of friendly ways and kind. We sing the roses waiting beneath the deep piled snows. We sing the earth's great splendor, whose beauty round us glows.
For our benediction, I offer the words of medieval German theologian, philosopher, and mystic Meister Eckhart. What we plant in the soil of contemplation, we shall reap in the harvest of action. Amen. Blessed be. Salam alaikum and shalom.
Shalom Havarim, Shalom Havarim, Shalom, Shalom, Shalom Havarim, Shalom Havarim, Shalom, Shalom.
After that long